Hi, welcome to another episode of Just Saying With. Today, we're just saying with Rachael Harding, Club Med's Chief Executive Officer of the East and South Asia and Pacific, who will be sharing about the impact of reopening the APAC region with the new vaccination travel lanes. And, it's something we're all looking forward to. Hi, Rachael.
Zed, hello. It's a pleasure to be with you today. And you did very well on that title. It's a big one.
It is a big one, and, it's an honor to meet you, a pleasure to meet you. Rachael, so, travel.
Yes.
So, okay, two things. Number one, we are all waiting for travel to happen. And speaking of which, where are you now? Yeah.
Well, two things on that one. First of all, I'm physically in Australia. So as part of my title, Pacific is one of my remits, but I'm based in Australia. Haven't been able to move myself in the last year to where I need to relocate because of the reasons, you just mentioned. We've been trapped in this lockdown for some time. So I'm based in Sydney, but I thought I would give you a little bit of inspiration today and take you to one of our Club Med resorts. Where do you think I am?
I'm guessing Bali. Is that Bali?
It's a little bit Bali. No, it's actually much closer to home to you. It's Bintan Island. So short ferry ride from Singaporeans and one of our most popular resorts, certainly out of Singapore. And we can't wait to open this one up again.
Oh my God. I think I haven't been to Bintan in about 15 years.
Well, I'm going to have to hook you up.
It's quite possibly 15 years since I was last in Bintan. Yeah.
And what I love about the Bintan is that you literally come from Singapore. So you're in the hustle and bustle of Singapore, and then, an hour later and you're in this tropical paradise. And you instantly feel that vibe as well. It's amazing. It's such a great place for Singaporeans to be able to just go for a weekend.
Yeah, and it's another country. It's Indonesia, right?
Exactly.
So remember to bring your passports.
Well, we'll welcome you anytime, as soon as we can, Zed.
Well, so, that's the thing. How are you coping? Or basically, what's life been, especially for someone like yourself? So, prior to starting this session, we were chatting about how, like, say for me, I used to travel so much prior to the pandemic. And now I'm pretty sure my family is ready to get me out of the house. It's not just I want to travel. They can't wait for me to travel. But what's it like for you? How's that been?
Well, very similar. I work in the travel industry. I'm used to being overseas probably, at least a couple of times a month or a couple of weeks of the month being away. And I think, like everybody, it's been quite challenging when you've had to adapt to being home full time. It's funny you should say that about family, because we've all spent so much time with our families over this time, but yet what's coming out of a lot of surveys that we conduct throughout the Southeast Asian region is what people are yearning for after this is actually really good quality time with their families again. Because I think the time that we've had at home, although we've been together, you can't say it's really been quality. I mean, a lot of times people are homeschooling. Certainly that's happening here in Australia. You're on top of each other and you don't have the activities and that kind of freedom available to you to be really able to enjoy each other's time. So although I think we're driving my family crazy, I must say I'm looking forward to doing something else with them other than being stuck at home.
I think you're very right there. It's not the time that we spend with the family that's, for the lack of a better word, issue. It's rather what we get to do with them. And it's everyone's high strung. It's a stressful situation, especially if you have kids. And, you've now a part-time teacher as well as nurse. Well, everything that I guess parents are supposed to do. But, we've been handing off to the teachers for quite a while. Well, I'm facing
has
that.
to be something for that. Well, your human connection as well. Like I think a lot of people thought we can just do business like this now, but there really has to be something to said for for human connection and the need for that, whether it be business or leisure. I don't think it really matters. You can't spend your whole life, on a screen. It's so important for relationships to meet people face to face. So I think everybody's looking forward to that, whether, like I said, it's for business or like for yourself, or whether it is just actually to visit family and friends or to have a holiday.
No, you're absolutely right. I think the social connection is something that's so important. Like I mean, on a personal level, I've never gone that, oh, I need a drink. I need to, grab a drink or something like that. But I've gone that, yes, I need to go to the pub. I need to go to a bar, not for
It's
the
true.
drinks, but it's
Yeah.
because that's where the friends are. That's where the social connections happen. That's where you have conversations with people. And well, I think that's something that Club Med does as well. So I've never quite, okay, I'm not going to say never quite. I've never been to a Club Med, let
Okay.
alone, I've always read about it. I've always read about it. So you see these different activities. So you're talking about activities, you're talking about social. What sets that Club Med experience apart from going to a hotel?
Well, maybe I'll take a step back and just explain to you, yourself and anybody who's watching who we are. So we're actually 70 years old last year, we turned, and we are the global leaders in all-inclusive premium holidays, mainly for families and active couples. That's our target audience. We've got over 60 resorts in the most beautiful locations throughout the world, and that's a mixture of both sun resorts, like you see behind me, but also mountain and ski resorts. In various places around the world as well. And the key to our success is the all-inclusive nature. So it's exactly as the name suggests. It's all-day dining, open bar, over 60 activities. Childcare services are included, kids club, if you're skiing, your lift passes and your lessons. So really the premise of this is really that you can come, you can be comfortable in a safe and controlled environment and really just relax knowing you have nothing else to worry about. So I definitely think, Zed, we need to get you there.
Thank you.
To one of our beautiful resorts.
Yeah. I would love to.
So that's starting with what we are. Now I actually forgot what you asked me in the first place. So that's who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the second part of your question?
Well, I guess you did answer, as in what sets you apart from traditional or typical hotel. So you've got different activities, yeah.
Yeah, I think the number one thing is that we're not a high-rise building in the middle of the city. We cater purely for holidaymakers. So all of our resorts are set in the most beautiful locations on huge pieces of land, surrounded by natural beauty, which allows us to be able to host our guests in an environment that allows them to do multiple things that they want to. They can be as active as they want to, or they can just simply relax and have a great time. And like I mentioned, not have to worry about anything because it's all included. And I think coming through this crisis, it's really interesting what the new consumer demand is. And I think having these wide open spaces now and more room, being able to socialise if you want to, but certainly have that distance is going to be even more important. And in an environment, when we talk about all-inclusive, that we can pretty much control all the touch points when it comes to safety as well. So I think it will be a huge success. We're seeing already the success of the business model in other markets, but I think that will be something that people will look for, especially with families coming through the pandemic and looking for a holiday destination and brand to travel with.
Now there have been announcements on VTLs, vaccinated travel lanes, and their implementations. We know that right now, I would say for Singapore, if I'm not wrong, it's Germany and Brunei that we've got Germany and Brunei that are allowed to come in without the quarantine period. But what are the plans now? How do you see this, or what are the opportunities and the impact of these VTLs that are now opening in APAC?
So first of all, it's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. So this, just to remind everyone, is for vaccinated travels to enable you to travel to destinations that are allocated by the government and come back and not have to quarantine at all. And as you mentioned, at the moment, that's Germany and Brunei, but I read in the Straits Times today that other candidates now are Canada, Denmark and Taiwan. So I think as this moves on, they'll look to accelerate that. And even outside of Singapore, I mean, we've had some bubbles open and close with New Zealand from Australia. We have seen in Thailand, the Phuket Sandbox program, which has been open for some time. I know in Malaysia, there's been a lot of work that's been going on behind the scenes to try and open up the likes of Langkawi and other destinations. So, I mean, it's just so good to see that we're getting some movement in this space. But I think Singapore, certainly for the region that I look after, is the first that's really taking the plunge into opening up these green lanes, if you like, to vaccinated travellers. And I mean, it does everything for consumer confidence. This is what we've been waiting for. For a resort company like Club Med, obviously what we're waiting for is destinations to open up where we're located. And that's probably been the most frustrating thing working in any travel company anywhere in the world over this time, is this kind of stop-start nature and not really having any visibility on when this is going to end. And so having to be ready for any situation. But I mean, it's so exciting. I know that the team in Singapore that are working for Club Med there are just waiting for any announcements that will happen that we're going to align with destinations where we're located, and away we go. And can I just tell you that as well, as soon as there is any ripple of announcement, you just see this huge spike in web traffic to those destinations, even if it's just talked about. So it just shows you the pent-up demand that you're seeing in Singapore, a bit like Australia. We've been stuck on this island for a long time, and I don't even think it will matter what opens up. I'm pretty sure people will just go wherever they can, when they can. So it's exciting for the travel industry now, but it has come with its frustrations, of course, over the last year and a half, being not just as a travel industry, but the people who live and rely on tourism, inbound tourism coming into their areas, especially on some of the beautiful islands where we're located. We just want to get that back there to be able to support them as well.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. The moment we heard that Germany had opened, or basically was a part of VTL, I was booking my flights to Berlin. And then I was told to stop and to, calm down just a bit. But because, you see, Berlin was the place that I was supposed to go. We were supposed to go for our vacation just before the pandemic hit. And then we canceled our plans. And, well,
Stroke of luck.
Exactly. But you're right. Everyone is waiting. And the moment you hear something, people jump. And I would say even in Singapore, the stop-start nature has affected the F&B industry, where we can go out and dine or we can't. And that's been switched on and off quite a bit over the last couple of months. And the moment you hear that you can, everyone wants to just go and dine out, let alone travel. With this stop-start nature, what are the different learnings or things that you've done to prepare for probably a new wave of people? Because it's going to be a wave of people that's coming in. And why I was told to chill and take a minute to breathe before I book my tickets also was because everyone's going out. And if everyone starts to go out, is that going to be the start of another wave? And are you going to be a part of that wave? What's Club Med doing to handle or to tackle this?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think, for Club Med, we have actually been operating a number of resorts. And at the moment, we have close to 50 resorts that are actually open around the world. Because as you know, just because Asia has taken a cautious approach to coming out of this crisis, other regions in the world now have found other ways in which to open up their borders, whether it be, reaching herd immunity, vaccination rates, testing, what have you. And we're seeing this we don't even have to guess. We're seeing this huge demand that's surpassing pre-COVID levels in the likes of Europe, USA, Caribbean, where we're open. We even have our Maldives resort that's been open the whole time to markets outside of Asia, and it has been running at really high occupancy as well. So, but what it's enabled us to do here in Asia is really implement what is needed in our resorts to cope with what a consumer wants post-COVID. And there is no doubt about it that safety is up there with now in the pecking order of what people are looking for when they travel, whether it be the right trust in brand, a destination, or what they're looking for in an actual holiday. So we've actually had to really audit all of our resorts. We joined forces with a company called Ecolab, who are the global leaders in hygiene products and protocols. We have really just looked at every touch point in our resort and made sure that we have now heightened health and safety measures, whether that be from where you eat to what activity you do. All of our staff have been fully trained to execute anything that may be needed as far as dealing with clients. I mentioned before our resorts are in big open spaces, so being able to use that space to be able to implement all the activities that we have. But also to deal with, both vaccinated and non-vaccinated guests, because for a company like Club Med, we operate in so many different countries. So first of all, you have to adhere to the protocols and the guidelines of that particular government, and everyone's different. People are going to require a mixture of vaccines, of testing, of proof of immunity, a mixture of all three. So first of all, we have to go with those guidelines. It could be then different local authority guidelines, and then we're going to implement our own safety protocols on top of this. And by kind of falling a little bit behind the world when it comes to opening, it's really allowing us to refine these processes so that when we do open up to the world in our region, we're going to be ready. But to be honest, where we've had domestic resorts, we've been opened in Asia already. So Japan, we have 2 resorts that have been opened in Japan to our Japanese guests. Malaysia has been a bit stop-start, but Malaysia, we have a resort that's been open. And also in China mainland, we've had quite a few of our resorts operating. So again, it's allowed us to work on our best practice and make sure that, it will be flawless by the time it comes to opening all of our resorts in this region, and our Asian guests Southeast Asian guests can go away and enjoy it. But certainly a lot of changes, and not even that said, even when we think about, I talked about what people are looking for before their holiday. People are now looking for not just safety on holiday, but peace of mind before they even go. When it comes to booking a holiday, there's going to be this anxiety around, having to change again or lose your money, or, so many people have had to cancel holidays. I'm sure you're one of them. Multiple holidays, multiple times. So, for us, it's about implementing a peace of mind policy so that guests, when they do decide to go on a holiday, that they know that they have options should they not be able to travel, whether it be changing free of charge, refunds, etc. So all of this has had to be dealt with, which we hadn't had to think about before and implemented. And as I said, it's been rolling out globally, and so by the time we go, it'll be seamless. It'll be seamless.
So, Rachael, you brought up a very important point, and now there's a lot of anxiety around, well, not just the travel itself, but the booking of travel. And when typically people think about, well, there are terms and conditions over there to get your money back and your booking fees, but it's more also about the different activities that you can do in a resort. Like I'm thinking of cruises as well. So if I were to turn up at a Club Med, would I still be able to participate in activities? Are the activities still going on?
And I think that's the beauty of going to a destination with a big, beautiful, wide open spaces, like I mentioned before, versus something like a cruise ship or a hotel, where I would imagine some activities would be even harder to manage in the environment that you're in. We have, like I mentioned earlier, audited all of our activities when it comes to safety and hygiene so that we can continue on running those activities. It's fair to say that part of coming to a Club Med resort is that this is available to you, and we can control that. If you were to go to a destination yourself and you're looking for activities outside of your hotel, you can't necessarily control where you go, who you're going with, when you're there. At least you're in an environment where you know that every time something has been touched by somebody beforehand, it's been clean and ready for the next person. If any activity is being executed, it's been done in a way that's going to allow social distancing or allow people to be able to do it in a safe manner. And that's not even activities. It comes down to even where you eat. You know, if you're going on a general holiday and you're going out to a restaurant, you can't really control that. Again, in the environment of Club Med, we're able to control the environment where you eat and where you drink to make sure that it adheres to our Safe Together program, and, you know, people can enjoy and relax in an environment that provides freedom but's controlled. And I think that's important.
Control and freedom. I think that's really the balance today that we need to find. That really, thank you very much for that, Rachael, because you've definitely given me food for thought. And these are questions which I've always had in my mind that I just could never ask. I can't quite walk up to a poster of a cruise ship or another resort and just ask them. And, you never can quite get some of these answers sometimes. But it's great. Thank you very much for enlightening me on this. Now, let's talk about the future, a little bit about the future. What are Club Med's plans for the region? Let's look at the APAC and this part of Asia and the Pacific. What are Club Med's plans, and what can potential guests and travelers expect from the brand?
So I think I mentioned, we went into this crisis with a very strong business model, and part of that means that we have a very aggressive pipeline when it comes to development. And even throughout the pandemic, this year alone, we've managed to open 5 new resorts. We opened a beautiful resort in the Seychelles in the Indian Ocean. Just in the middle of this year, we have another beautiful ski resort in the European Alps, La Rosière. We're opening our first ski resort in Canada, in Quebec, Charlevoix, in December this year, and 2 new resorts in China as well. So that's just this year alone. And our plan is to actually increase our capacity, or our occupancy, our rooms, by about 25% in 2023 as compared to 2019. So quite a lot of resorts opening, in fact, around about 16 in the next few years. In this region, I mentioned the Seychelles. We have quite a few surprises that will come pretty soon. We'll be able to make some announcement, especially when it comes to further developing our ski leadership, so our mountain resorts in Asia. So stay tuned for that. But still through the pandemic, we've been working on our beautiful resort in Borneo, in Kota Kinabalu, which is due to open in 2024, which this region will be the perfect source market for, and we really look forward to. It's a brand new resort. So it's literally being built now. So if it's not that one, Zed, I am determined to get to you. I'm sure we'll get you to something before 2024. I'm determined to get you to one before then. But I guess to answer your question, the development pipeline is super aggressive. We're being a bit bullish in our exit out of this COVID crisis. We're seeing the rebound happen in other regions. I have no doubt it will happen here in Asia, as we've seen everybody everywhere else. And we need to keep fueling that demand. So looking forward to bringing you some more news on that soon.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rachael. Actually, that for me as a consumer, for me as a person that, and I guess for you yourself, us as people that want to get back to, a normal, whether it be a new normal or anything, but back to normal, a normal that we can finally, have not so much uncertainty about everything, and to hear that you've got expansion plans, and not so much about, because there's so much news about people that are not continuing business, and the fact that we hear that, okay, there are expansion plans here, and that actually provides hope. It gives a little bit of that ray of light that says, things are going to be okay again, and that's where the industry is going towards. So I really hope that's the case, and not just travel, but to be able to get to meet people again, that social aspect of things, and that's what I wish we could have this interview face to face, and that would have been amazing.
Well, let's hope the next bubble will be Australia and Singapore, and
Yep.
I'll take you up on that, and we'll have a chat face to face. Part 2.
Part 2. Well, Rachel, thank you very much for joining us today and for taking time out of your busy schedule. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Zed.
Take care. Be safe.
See you later. Bye-bye.